Hello, this is Reddithan, and welcome to GPC Season 7, Week 5. No, Week 5? Week 4. This is Week 5. I'm great at YouTube. Anyway, so this week we're going up against Turbo Blaze the 4th and the Phoenix Midnights. So, this matchup was pretty spooky. His team is, like, he's just got a ton of threats, is kind of his team. Like, he's got Charizard, Bulu, Diggersby, Thundy-Eye, Hoopa-Yu, Aerodactyl, just so many, like, terrifying mons on his team. So, kind of for this matchup, I just figured that Hyper Offense, more or less, is going to be my best bet. A lot of my team isn't going to be able to, like, switch in a lot of his stuff, so just try to like, out-offense him, pretty much, so. Yeah, let's go into what I brought for that. So, first up is the Neolego Choice Scarf with Power Gem, Sludge Wave, Thunderbolt, and Grass Knot. This is kind of mandatory just because of Charizard. Kind of with like those spooky Dragon Dancers like that. Choice Scarfer is usually necessary just as like a bit of insurance, and that's kind of what Neolego does here because I can revenge it with the Power Gem. The rest of the moves are just more or less kind of filler. Sludge Wave for the Bulu. And then Thunderbolt for the Empoleon, because Empoleon resists both of those. And then I just got the Grass Knot for the Diggersby and the Piloswine. But I really just needed this thing for the Scarf Power Gem. That's what I wanted it for. The rest were good moves as well, but this thing was mainly just here for the Zard. And it's also can be a nice check to Thundy-Eye, switch in on that at least once. So that's pretty cool. Next up is Klefki. Fizz-Def, Foul Play, Thunder Wave, Spikes, and Reflect. This was kind of my best bet to take on Bulu. Right when I was saying I was going to be more hyper-offensive, but Bulu is such a threat, though, that it's kind of important to be able to have at least one thing that can switch into it continuously, and Klefki kind of does that. Because, of course, it's not weak to Superpower, and it can take and resist like all of its other moves, so. It's got the Foul Play, mainly just for the Zard, because I didn't want that to get a chance to set up nicely. And then, of course, it hits the Hoopa nicely as well. And then we got the Thunder Wave to slow stuff down. Spikes, because his only remover is Empoleon. And since I'm not actually bringing any removal myself, I figured just forcing him to Fog would be really nice. Of course, he also has the Hypnotop, but Hitmontop, but I figured he wasn't going to bring it because Hypnotop is bad. I don't know if I'm saying Hypnotop. You know what I mean. The top thing. And then finally got a Reflect on there because his team is primarily physical. If he has the Thundy, I can just switch in Neolego for it at least once, like I said. And then Tapu Bulu, the Charizard, the Diggersby, the Hoopa. Those are usually more physical, and the Arrow and everything. So. I figured I didn't really need Light Screen. Reflect was a nice little utility there because it let me switch into more stuff easier. Next up is Starmie with Scald, Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, Recover, and the Life Orb. Okay, let me let me explain. You are staring at no EVs, no nature here right now. I honestly don't remember if I put them in and like Showdown just glitched and didn't save them, or if I just forgot. However, this thing does not have a nature in EVs, which we're gonna get into that once we get into the battle and everything. But yeah, that's kind of not a good thing because, of course, this thing can't outspeed the things that it needs to outspeed now, and it can't kill the things it needs to kill. But I'll go over why I wanted this set anyway, just because it kind of destroys them. Barring any like Scarfers, he kind of just has. He really doesn't have much for this. Like, literally the only things on his team that reliably can 1v1 this thing are the it's pretty much just the Hoopa, barring like any other items. Like, of course, Scarf and like resistance berries and stuff, but like once I get like my hazards up and everything, this thing actually just does so much damage. And then I decided to do the Natural Cure over the Analytic just because this was my main Empoleon switch in, because I knew he's probably going to bring Empoleon because it really is just better than Hitmontop in this matchup, and he needed a way to remove stuff because I have so many hazards. So yeah, I kind of figured he was gonna bring the Empoleon, and I figured this was gonna be like my best check to that because I got Thunderbolt, then I can just recover off any damage that I take, and of course the natural cure, if I get burned, then I can just switch out, and everything will be all good again. So yeah, I decided to just go for recover over rapid spin because I will get chances to recover, like against like the Empoleon and possibly against like the Piloswine and like anything I may burn with Scald. So that's pretty nice. Next up is Shaman with the Cheelon Berry, with Seed Flower, Earth Power, Leech Seed, and Synthesis. Initially, I did have more of a Fizz Def kind of set to this, but I figured with a Cheelon Berry, this thing switches in on Diggersby anytime anyway, so I really didn't need to run Fizz Def. Just running the Cheelon Berry makes it so this thing is a switch in anyway. And now with this spread, I can do much more damage because, of course, if he has the Grassy Terrain up, then Seed Flare is going to do a ton of damage. Earth Power just kind of keeps the Zard at check a bit, and then I got Leech Seed and Synthesis just for recovery. Leech Seed, the only thing on his team that can absorb the Leech Seed is Bulu, and like nothing else really appreciates it, so I figured it'd just be nice to catch up on the switch. And even if he does go into Bulu, Seed Flare will do a lot with the terrain boost, so that's pretty nice. Next up is Swampert with Earthquake, Waterfall, Sludge Wave, and Stealth Rock, Relaxed Nature. This was also this is my main Zard switch in and Diggersby switch in. I said I was gonna be like more hyper offensive, but I got like two fat things here. But anyway, Earthquake, Waterfall, Sludge Wave, and Stealth Rock. Earthquake and Waterfall hit literally everything except for the Bulu, and the Bulu just drops to a Sludge Wave if I can predict that. So yeah, and then I just got the Stealth Rock because I needed a rocker for his team, and Swampert just likes running rocks. But yeah, this thing actually does destroy him if I'm able to bring it in and like predict around stuff right, because like looking at his team, he does not have anything that wants to switch in on this thing. Like he actually, like the water ground combo with poison coverage just actually destroys him, so that's pretty nice. And finally we have the Zygarde Dragon Dance with the Yachi Berry. Yachi Berry just for Piloswine because Ice Shard is never fun, and it also lets me set up Guaranteed on the Thundy as well as the Diggersby if it has like the Ice Punch. So yeah, I didn't really need another item. And then I got enough speed to outspeed Scarf Hoopa, and then just the rest in special attack, because then I can do as much damage as possible to the Bulu. So this actually OHKOs after spikes, which is really nice. So Thunder Wave, Sludge Wave, and Superpower. These two are self-explanatory. Superpower was just there mainly for the in case he has like an air balloon and like Empoleon or something, or of course it hits the Piloswine super effectively. I could have put E-Speed, but I really just wanted to make sure I could take on the Piloswine if it came to it, because Piloswine's kind of a if I'm not able to weaken it prior, then it actually just does like hard wall this thing. So yeah. Anyway, let's go into the battle. So looking at what he brought, he actually brought literally exactly what I expected. At least as far as the Charizard, the Diggersby, the Empoleon, and the Bulu. I knew all those four were coming. The arrow in the Hoopa, I figured he would at least bring the Piloswine. I was actually pretty surprised about that, because Zygarde just kind of destroys him otherwise. Like it actually does, like it straight up just destroys him otherwise. So I'm really surprised to not see the Piloswine, but everything else I more or less thought could come. Yeah, let's just go into the battle. As if I'm gonna lead off with my Shaman, he's going to lead off with his Bulu. I led off with Shaman just because I figured that was going to be like my best bet. The Diggersby could be like a lead in case he predicts like the Klefki or something. The Empoleon could lead, and if I led with Klefki, then he would just get like free Rock Slip or something. I didn't want that. I figured this would be my best bet to check his whole team. Because the only really bad matchups for this thing would be the Charizard and the Hoopa. But if he goes into Charizard, I could go into my Swampert, and if he leads with Hoopa, I could go into my Klefki. So Shaman just seemed like the safest bet. So I'm actually just free here to go for the Seed Flare, as even if he has the Mega Horn, like I can take that anyway. So I'm just gonna do as much damage as I can, which is in the Zard, as that does a clean around 24%. So of course, since this league does not require a Mega first turn, I didn't want to deal with like the 50-50 with Earth Power and everything, so I'm actually just gonna switch right away into Swampert. I figured that just keeping this thing from like setting up to full, or setting up to like +6 would not be a good idea. So I'm not going to let that happen. So did my Zard. I figured that at this point he was definitely going to go into the Bulu. So the play probably actually just was to click rocks here because because this Empoleon might not be defog, and if it's not, then that's really cool. Even if it is, then I'm forced to run defog anyway. So yeah, that probably was the play, but I do decide to get cheeky here turn 2 and just go for the Sludge Wave, because looking at his team, like, he actually doesn't have switch-ins for this thing. The Hoopa is going to take a ton because Hoopa has paper on Fizz Depth. Charizard doesn't want to take an Earthquake. These two don't want to take Waterfalls, and they can't really do much to me back. And of course the Empoleon's weak to Earthquake. So I thought that the Bulu here was like for certain. I thought he was either going to predict like me keep going for the ground move, or like I go for Stealth Work or something. But he just actually decides to go into the Empoleon, and I go for the Sludge Wave, and that does absolutely nothing. So I wouldn't really say it was a misplay on my part. It definitely was more of a 50-50. I guess Empoleon actually just was the safer play because he did have the grassy terrain up, so Earthquake wouldn't be doing too much. I definitely could have played around that better. I'm just, so yeah, definitely a bad play on my part, but, not a bad play, but, good play on his part too. I guess he predicted the Sludge Wave, or else Bulu was the play, so, yeah. So here is where the misplay comes in. So, me being dumb, like, even in prep, I was like, alright, Empoleon gets Grass Knot, so I shouldn't keep this thing in on an Empoleon. But I do a dumb, and I make my move way too quickly, and I forget that this thing not only gets Grass Knot, but it's also in grassy terrain, so this thing is guaranteed to kill. So I'm just going to go for my rocks, because like, oh yeah, Empoleon, I'm just going to force it to defog next turn, instead of going to Starmie, which does not appreciate the grassy terrain, or like the Shaman, which can take the Grass Knot and everything. So I had switch-ins for this thing, don't get me wrong, but I decided to be dumb and leave this thing in, as he just takes me out with the Grass Knot. So, yeah, that's actually really bad for me, because the Diggersby, the Aerodactyl, and the Charizard, all of those just kind of get hard-walled by Swampert. So, unless this thing has Seed Bomb, of course, but we'll go into that in a bit. So, he does go for the Grass Knot, that takes me out. So that's pretty cool. So. Yeah, me making a bad play early on. What's new? So here I'm actually gonna go into Klefki this time. I decided that this was my safest bet. I didn't want to have Starmie in while the grassy terrain is still up, because Grass Knot wasn't going to do too much, but with the grassy terrain it's going to do a lot more than I want. I didn't want Shaman because he could have like the Ice Beam and everything. So Klefki, I just wanted to get my my spikes up. So he does switch out and to the Diggersby. So I'm going to get my spikes up, which is nice. And here I do decide to just go for the Reflect, actually. And I do that just because even if he goes for Earthquake, I'm Fizz Def. I'm just going to eat it up. So I figure I just stay in and go for the Reflect and make sure whatever I switch in can take anything. Because at this point, I didn't know what it had. It could have just gone for the U-turn and done like a ton of damage to my Shaman. So this just was the safest bet. As I do... I believe I do set up another... No, yeah. Okay, no, I do go for the Foul Play. That's right. Yeah, I go for the Foul Play. I figured that there was a chance he could try to bring in... his Zard or something at that point. Or even, in this case, he did set up the SD. So, I just wanted to get damage off on this thing, mainly. Just so I could come in and revenge it with the Shaman easily in case like things get out of hand and everything. But I did forget though about how huge power works, is that it doesn't factor into Foul Play, which is why that doesn't kill. So yeah, he does get to +2, so that just is a little over half. But yeah, so I did kind of forget about that, but I feel like it was my play either way, because now this thing pretty much dies. But because I am a Klefki and I need this thing for Bulu, I decided just to switch in Shaman at this point, because Shaman can eat up an Earthquake, or return anything. So he just does go for the Fire Punch, which does a ton through the Reflect, but because I have the Reflect up, I can take it. And even if he has the Quick Attack, I do have the Reflect up and the Chill on Berry, so I can eat that up easily. So I'm just going to fire off a Seed Flare here, as the Empoleon actually gets crit, which is really, really nice. And now I'm just going to switch into my Starmie, because he doesn't have Grassy Terrain up. Grass Knot's going to do much as he goes for the Defog. I probably could have stayed in and just gone for the Earth Power, but I in case this thing had like the ice beam, I didn't want Shaman taking that extra damage, so I'm just gonna switch out, make this safe play into Starmie, and here is actually where my little screw up comes in big, because I don't have like any investment or anything, Thunderbolt actually doesn't kill, so that's really, really bad for me, as he's gonna grass on, do a ton of damage, just 69%. But yeah, if I had my EV investments and everything, that just would have killed, and I would have had the Starmie still like at near full. So yeah, but I'm just gonna kill it out with the Skull here. So and Pulling goes down anyway, but that was actually huge that that Starmie took that damage, because now this thing just easily gets revenged by an Earthquake by Aerodactyl. So you know, fun times. So here I do go into the Klefki, and I'm just free to set up another Reflect. And now that his Empoleon's gone, I can set up hazards as much as I want. As he does go for the Home Claws, I really don't care, because with Reflect up, that's really just not going to do much. So I'm going to Paralyze it just to slow it down. So now I can come and revenge it with anything. But this doesn't even, it's not even a, it can't take me out now, because Foul Play does way more than he can do to me. And since he's paralyzed, I outspeed. So this Aerodactyl is going to go down, and Klefki is going to stay at a nice range to take on the rest of his team. So here he does go into his Diggersby again, trying to set up. I'm actually just going to go for another Spike here. And the reason for that is that at this point in the game, well, I knew, for one, that the Diggersby would not be able to kill me before my Reflect wears off. So, yeah, so I just kind of want to, I want to be able to set up another Reflect before this thing takes me out. So I'm actually just go for that 1-layer spikes, just because that makes sure I can kill the Bulu with Sludge Wave. So at this point, I knew that if I was able to set up with Zygarde, then I just won. Like, this Diggersby is going to die from that range. The Bulu dies with a Sludge Wave. Hoopa's not taking 1,000 arrows at +1, and even if you Scarf, I outspeed it. And of course, we know the Charizard is not Scarf because it's a Mega. So if I'm able to get off a D-Dance in front of this Diggersby, then I pretty much just win. So that was my play at this point. So he does go for the Fire Punch. Like I said, I can eat that up as my Reflect wears off this time. I'm just going to set up another one. So he does go for the Agility this time. So revealing this is a Double Dance set. So I know that this thing doesn't even have like the Ice Punch or anything to take on Zygarde. So he takes out my Klefki, as I'm going to go into my Zygarde. And here, all I have to do is pretty much just set up and I win. Because I have the Reflect up for 3 more turns, so I'm able to set up enough to where I can take this thing out, and then while not taking that much damage because of the Reflect. He doesn't even have the Swords Dance, he just has the Agility, so it's not going to be able to do that much. So yeah, I'm just going to go for, he goes for the turn. That does a pitiful amount of damage through the Reflect, so I'm going to set up a Dragon Dance. And here I decide I might as well just set up another one, because he's going to outspeed me anyway, and once I get up another D-Dance, I'll outspeed him. And since I don't have the E-Speed, it's kind of my only play. In case like the Hoopa is like some crazy set or something, this just guarantees that I'll be able to take it out. So, yeah. So I'm just going to set up another Dragon Dance, but oh wait, he crits me.
In the arms of the angel, fly away from here.
Yep, I had that game in the bag, 3-0, but because of all this, I'm actually just going to end up being a not a win. I can guarantee that much. So he's going to the Bulu here. He has no poison immunities anymore, which is really nice. So I am able to come in and revenge this thing with the Neat Lego. So that's pretty cool. The rest of this game was not pretty cool. That's going to go down. With the Hoopa, I just have to hope this thing is Psychic, and then I can live, and then I can like somehow take this out with Sludge Wave. As I do get the poison, which is pretty nice, but he does have the Zen Headbutt, and it'll take me out. So, yep, we get lucky and batted this game. So, I mean, like I said early on, I feel like I made like one misplay in this match, and that was with the Swampert. I guess that was one misplay with staying in Swampert on Empoleon. So I will say, if that didn't happen, this game could have been different, for sure. But it's just, you just don't like to lose this way. I know I have been lucky some recently, in like my other leagues and everything, so I kind of did have this one coming, but it's always just really unfortunate when you do what you need to do to win, and then the game just doesn't want you to win with that 6% chance to make you lose. But oh well. Turbo did play well. He did make the plays he needed to make, like not switching in the Bulu just hard on the Swampert to scout for the Sludge Wave and everything, and he definitely did what he needed to do to win. I also did, but you know, that's Pokemon. That's how the game works. A bit upset about that. However, I am still in a playoff spot, so not all as bad. Would have been really nice to get that win, so we don't have to, we're not required to win some of our next games, because we do have some spooky opponents, including Eric and Merc later on, but, you know, it's whatever. But, yeah, thank you so much for watching. This has been Redithin, and I will see you in the next video, which is hopefully a bit better in our favor, and goodbye.